Hi, this is Rod Massimo, and I'm the founder and the president of the Massimo Group. And this weekend, I really dove deep into this new report by our good friends at the Broker List and Build Out called the DNA of CRE. And I gotta tell you, as a commercial real estate professional, this is one of the more important reports you need to read. Why? Because it's one of the few reports in our industry that gives you some benchmarks on what your peers are doing, how they're doing it, and the results they're getting. You need to know that. So I really dove in deep on this. I started looking from trends and findings and statistics. And look, I compared to a show that just came out on TV called The Genetic Detective. It's about this woman who can solve cold murder cases from 10, 15, 30 years ago based on lineage and witnesses and finally DNA. And yeah, they determine who the killer is. And I gotta tell you, there's some killer information in this report. So let's get right to it. Who completed this survey? Well, about 700 of your commercial real estate peers completed the survey, and they have experience between, most of them, 65%, had more than 11 years experience. So think about that. Where are you on that spectrum? In fact, 2/3 of those that responded to this survey, they were between the ages of 40 and 70. Now that sounds about right. 11 years experience. Well, it should be a little younger. Think of those, how many years experience you have, your age. But let's face it, commercial real estate, yeah, it's an older demographic. It is. So the statistics, number of folks that actually complete the survey, the age, the experience, it tells me the results are pretty valid. So let's get right to the results. First and foremost, comp information. How do folks get their comp data? I found this really interesting. In fact, about 44%, a little more, just depend on CoStar. Yeah, that's the right word. Depend. And when you depend on something, you are not independent. I think that's a key word here. Hey, CoStar provides really solid information, don't get me wrong. But when 44% of the industry is dependent on them for their comps, then they're not independent. And by the way, speaking of independent, about 40% of those respondents claimed that they got their own information. They went out into the market themselves and crafted firsthand primary information. Oh, by the way, speaking of independent, roughly a little more than half of those that responded were with independent firms, and a little less than half were with what we call national firms. I found that interesting. Also, I looked at the tools, the technology. Database. It's so important today that you have a database. So let's see what the respondents said. Really? 47% rely on either Outlook or spreadsheets for their database? Folks, it's 2020. There is no way you can run your business, and you're all business owners, by relying on Outlook and spreadsheets. There are so many good, high quality CRE-based databases out there. I'm not going to name the specific ones. You know who they are. But look, you need to go out and evaluate how you're running your business, how you're keeping your data, how you're running your day and planning and being proactive. Really tough to do if you're using a database. Other information. They talked about how you manage your assignments. And this one, over 78% said, once they get an assignment, they process it manually. Manually? Really? Again, it's 2020. How can you be processing transactions manually? Think about the opportunity cost. Think about just what you're doing instead, besides the financial aspects, the true aspects of you being more productive. No doubt, there are great tools out there. But one of the sponsors of this report, Build Out, has a tool. Now, I'm not endorsing one versus the other. I'm saying there are options for you to go out and start, putting some automation in your business. So that was one major takeaway. Then I looked at how many hours people work a week. Almost 40% work between 36 and 45 hours a week. Think about that. 36 and 45 hours a week. Now, could that be skewed because it's an older group answering those questions? Perhaps. They're in their twilight years. But again, the ages are 40 to 70. These are prime earning years. And you all, as independent contractors, you own your own business. Do you think your launderer or your insurance agent or your attorney work 36 to 45 hours a week? No, they own a business. Think any CEO who runs a very profitable business works 36 to 45 hours a week? No, absolutely not. Now, on top of that, only 12% worked more than 56 hours a week. Now, I'm not suggesting you work significant hours. Not at all. But what I'm suggesting is you've got to understand this is your business. And what you get out of it is what you put in it. So when you think about your results and your work ethic and what we're hearing here with this report, maybe there's a reason that you're earning average. Maybe there's a reason that you're earning much, much more. Again, activities, efforts, the doing is what creates the results. Then the broker list and build out, well, they asked a hard-hitting question in regards to how many hours do you prospect? And what we find here is 48% actually more prospect only 1 to 5 hours a week. 1 to 5 hours a week. Prospecting is your number one activity of creating your own personal independence. Yeah, the more new clients you create, the less dependent you are maybe on your broker, maybe on certain clients, maybe on whatever it might be. But prospecting is essential. Now, some people may have teams and therefore other people on the team prospect. That I understand completely. The key question here though is, look, it looked like between 6 and 10 hours. Well, that was about 30%. So what it tells me is 80% of those responding, 80% of the peers here prospect 10 hours or less a week. Worst case, many of those folks prospect less than 5 hours a week. Again, what are you doing? What are you out creating? How are you creating your independence? So these activities were so telling, so telling. So let's talk about results now. Based on the activities, what were the results? Well, straight out from this report, nearly half the brokers report their average listing price is between $500,000 and $2 million. Okay, look, the velocity is definitely in those price points. $500,000 to $2 million, no doubt that's where many, if not most of the deals are going to happen. That makes perfect sense. 20% say though they're doing deals over $2 million. Well, is that the 80-20 rule where 20% get the best deals? I don't know. But it's interesting to see the dynamics, the breakdown, the size of deals that folks are working on. Then we get to, of course, last but not least, commissions. And this was extremely telling. Again, this is directly from the report of DNA of CRE. The majority of brokers reported making less than $200,000 gross commission income. Now, depending on your splits, that could be anywhere from $90,000 to maybe at the high end $150,000, $160,000. Not a bad wage at all, absolutely not. But when you think about the tenure and the age of majority of respondents, really, again, that's the commission income earning after all that experience and all that tenure. My point is not to be negative at all. My point is to show you, and this report shows you, that effort, activity impacts results. It absolutely does, and that's what you have to take away from this report. In fact, 72% made less than $300,000 gross commission income. Again, is that 140? Is that $240,000? Again, those are nice numbers, they are. But not what you expect, but the experience level and the tenure of those that responded to the survey. I cannot thank the broker list and build out for putting forth this annual effort. It's a report that is required reading for all of us. It is. We have to understand where we are, where the industry is, and therefore what we need to do to become a market leader. What we need to do to take a more dominant position in our industry, in our personal practice. That's what I got out of this report. Now at the Massimo Group, as you know, we're a coaching organization. We are. Our entire focus is putting our clients in a better position to earn significantly more commissions and do so in less time. That's right, more money in less time. And consistently our clients out-earn their peers, as supported by this report, by 7x. And will continue to do so. Why? Because it's the activities that create the results. It's the doing, not just the knowing, that generates the income, that provides the independence, and yes, gets you margin. So that's just something you can change today. And that's the beauty. You have the choice right now to go out and change today. So take the information, absorb it, look forward, and let's make the rest of this year your best CRE year yet. And you know what? Let's make 2021 even better. Thank you.